I think it's possible that we get to, a new all-time high, like 100,000 or more, even before the halving.
Crypto expert Adam Back just made a bold prediction on Bitcoin, and Adam undoubtedly is a crypto expert. He's a British cryptographer and cypherpunk. Most know him today as the CEO of Blockstream, which was co-founded in 2014. And he is literally the person that invented Hashcash, which is used in the Bitcoin mining process. Many people suspect Adam of being Satoshi. You can find messages from back in the day of him talking to Satoshi, as well as Adam's work is cited in the Bitcoin white paper. And just know, before we watch this clip in full, that the two things that affect price of any asset is supply and demand. And while the Bitcoin halving next year will be a huge shock on supply, Pompliano went on Fox Business this morning to remind the viewers of the race for the Bitcoin spot ETF in the US, which has huge implications on the demand side.
Is a spot Bitcoin ETF going to happen this year? I mean, there's a Hunger Games going on with a whole bunch of different fund companies. In a letter sent to the SEC yesterday, Grayscale urged the regulatory body to reconsider its application to turn its Bitcoin trust into a spot ETF.
Grayscale is trying to be first. They're trying to beat Fidelity, beat BlackRock. This is all SEC dependent if a Bitcoin ETF in America gets approved.
Now what the SEC has to decide is, are they going to allow this conversion? But that's not the only part that they actually have to evaluate. They also have to look at the fact that you have other ETF applications that are out there. And so it's kind of this great race. Do we get the GBTC conversion first, or do we get ETF applications? I tend to think that we don't want to have a financial market where regulators are playing referee in the sense of they get to choose winners and losers. Instead, what we want is we want regulators to create fair markets. And so from my personal perspective, the best thing to do would be just approve them all at once. Say, GBTC, you can convert, BlackRock, ARK, the other filers.
Van Eck.
Everyone gets to go. 1, 2, 3, go. Whoever gets the assets gets the assets. Because part of what we've seen in prior ETF applications that have been approved, whoever gets out there first, they get the assets.
Yeah, Fidelity. I mean, what is more basic and accepted in the world than Fidelity? They're applying.
Now, the final deadline for most of these ETFs, the SEC could push until March of next year, but many experts, including Pomp, do think it's coming sooner.
I do believe we will get ETF applications approved before the end of this year. We got about 100 days or so left to go. BlackRock knocking at the door, Fidelity, et cetera, I think really helps. But another key piece to this, and I think people kind of are so focused on the ETF application that they're not looking at the macro impact. And one of the things that recently came out is Bernstein came out with this brand new kind of prediction that this stablecoin market, these are just dollars on blockchain, is going to be about a $3 trillion market cap. Now, the reason why that's important is $125 billion today. So they're predicting just dollars alone will go from 125 billion to 3 trillion. If that happens, Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptocurrency market will likely be $10+ trillion. We're talking about a market that maybe is just over $1 trillion today. And so these are huge upside numbers.
And a $10 trillion upside from today would be a 10x on the entire market. That only comes when you have supply going down and demand going up.
ETF application will be the demand shock. The supply shock is coming with the halving, and we should go up hundreds of percent again.
And before we get to this latest XRP news, because on Altcoin Daily, we cover the whole market, that's why you subscribe. What does one of the founding fathers of cryptography think about the effects of the halving in general?
There's a halving event to come, probably in the spring of next year. What impact will that have?
Well, I mean, it's something that there's some debate about whether it's priced in the market. Some people will say, oh, it's priced in, but I think because of the generally high volatility, other than the last month, it's quite hard to price in. And it also punctuates the 4-year halving cycle, or economic cycle of Bitcoin. And historically, Bitcoin's done well. Within 6 or 9 months after the halving, there's been a sort of price appreciation part of the cycle. Now, this time,
so what do you think is possible?
Well, I think it's possible that we get to, a new all-time high, like 100,000 or more, even before the halving, simply for the reason that the last few years have been kind of a depressed market in general, and in the crypto market through, a number of bankruptcies and DeFi failures, things like that.
So you really think $100,000 is achievable in Bitcoin before the halving event? There's no fear that you're very resolute on that?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I infamously took a small bet with somebody on Twitter on that. It was just some conversation about whether it would happen or not. And this fellow said, well, let's bet on it. So I let him pick the price. And so we're on. Let's see if it happens.
So the exact bet from Adam Back was this. I bet Bitcoin reaches or exceeds $100,000 between now and the halving, or around the 31st of March, 2024, with this individual on Twitter, and they wagered 1 million Satoshis to the winner. Now, a sat is the smallest unit of a Bitcoin. 1 million Satoshis is equivalent to 0.01 of a Bitcoin. So honestly, not that much money. Adam Back is undoubtedly a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. So point is, I take that bet with a grain of salt, but understand the reasoning behind it is sound.
ETF application will be the demand shock. The supply shock is coming with the halving, and we should go up hundreds of percent again.
As we wait, we can at least keep tabs on which altcoin projects are making moves. Tech billionaire and the co-founder of Ripple, Chris Larsen, just made a multi-million-dollar donation of XRP to the city of San Francisco.
You've worked with the mayor. You have made a donation in the form of Ripple cryptocurrency to SF State. Do you feel a responsibility to do all of those things? Just explain the why, first of all.
Yeah, well, I love the city. I was born in the city. My parents met in the city, and it's the most special place in the world. We have our issues, but there's just nothing like San Francisco. You can't replicate it, so it's worth fighting for and worth investing in.
And many of you are asking me, why are the founders of XRP cryptocurrency planting cameras all over the city? Are they watching me?
Your relationship to the police, as best I can tell, is you've invested and put into place a network of security cameras, essentially, the easiest layman's expression. What is the thesis there? If you install your own cameras, do you intend, I suppose, to hand over the data or the increased surveillance power to the authorities, or do you use that yourself?
Well, just to correct there,
Please.
so our participation with camera networks, we just give money to one of the 18 community benefit districts. They're nonprofits, community governed neighborhoods, and they handle all the cameras. They keep the data only for 30 days, and they work under best practices, no audio, for example. So I think extremely privacy aware, but also recognizing we have a public safety issue. So we need those kinds of tools. But very importantly, we don't control them.
Yes,
we don't have the data.
yourself are not up a ladder installing them.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
And obviously, Chris Larsen, being a co-founder, was asked about this lawsuit.
The latest with Ripple Labs action at the federal level is that you have objected to the SEC's request to appeal the original court ruling, which was a positive for Ripple in the sense that it found the cryptocurrency XRP was not a security when it was sold to the public. Could you just explain what the latest is with that legal dispute?
Well, I think the bottom line is the SEC lost on everything that was important to them and important in regulation of the industry. The case still continues. There's appeal processes that everybody has the right to do, but we think that this is really groundbreaking. This is the law of the land, and it is actually quite good news, I think, I think the U.S. screwed up here on crypto and blockchain policy. This is the beginning now, through the courts, unfortunately, instead of through regulators, to get that clarity and get us back in the game.
Be sure to join us in October at Bitcoin Amsterdamn conference. Use code ALTCOINDAILY for 10% off. Like always, see you tomorrow.